My next guest is a man who's produced more shows in Las Vegas than anybody ever in the history of Las Vegas, David Saxe. And you currently have how many shows in production?
I do not know. probably 10 or 15. I'm not sure.
That's amazing. I mean, like, and you grew up in Las Vegas. You grew up in the entertainment world, right? Your dad was, a prominent musician.
Yep, he was a band leader. He had a relief band, so a lot of the shows played 7 nights a week, but the band would only play 6. So he had this all-star band that would go and play all the different shows in town. And
well, that must have been difficult because it's not like you've got a routine. You're playing the same show. You have to learn new scores for every show,
you have to be well versed in everything, pick up really quick, and then know the drummer would have to pick up. If the girls would do a kick line or something, they'd have to know where the kicks would go. So they were the best, and then they would play for anybody who came in town. So Sinatra, or anybody they'd travel with a light band, and then he would have the big orchestra that would back them up. So yeah,
well, very versatile. And with a name like Saxe, of course, he didn't play the sax.
No, he did. He played sax and clarinet. Yeah, all the woodwinds. Yes.
Wow. And so you grow up also instrumentally inclined?
I thought so. My dad criticized me. I thought I was great at trumpet. I played that in junior high and practice. My lips were always big and pressing. And then my dad pulled when the big strike for the musicians union. They canceled all of them for all the showrooms, and I remember him pulling me aside saying, "Son, learn something else. Don't be a musician. You got to do something else. This is too hard." I feel bad for them, but I employ a lot of musicians now. I brought live music back to all my shows, and
because it still seems to be a battle with a lot of the properties in town and live music.
I love it. I mean, I went through a phase where I'm a big like keyboard guy and stuff, and so I loved that for a while in the 90s and whatnot, and it's cheaper. But then you bring a live band in, and man, nothing replaces that feeling, So I'm a big advocate of live.
Let's talk about some of the shows you produce. Why don't you go mention a few of them?
The Ultimate Variety Show, so it's like America's Got Talent, but they're really good on TV, and my guys are really good and girls live. Like, they're the best in the world. Even some of America's Got Talent winners have been in my show and couldn't hold a candle.
So it's kind of like the old Lawrence Welk or Ed Sullivan kind of shows. It's
updated, but sure, it's just act, and I have I have ADD. I'm like, my brain goes a mile a minute. So if I see something that's too, I get bored quickly, and I think a lot of Americans are that way as well. So this show is just the best acts, just 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and it's killer.
And how do you choose an act? I mean, obviously, people are probably, phoning you and knocking down your door all the time. Hey, I want to perform, and you have to make, a certain, limited period of time. You got to fit acts in.
There's no magic sauce. It's the same as you would pick or anybody else. It's the ones that just knock you down, like you're dying laughing, or they just really affect you and you love them. I basically shop. I find all these acts, and if they're great, I do what I can to get them in.
Well, obviously, you have a knack for it. That's why you're
think
successful.
So.
Right?
Yeah, I always tell the performers, every minute you've been on stage performing, and that end of it. I've been in the audience and running lights and sound and watching the audience and just what's going on and what do they react to. So I'm pretty good at figuring out what audiences want.
So do you have like a trial period? If an act wants to be hired, hey, we'll see how you do for a week? Or?
No, but I think everyone's always on a trial period. If it's not working out, they got to go. So I'll pick somebody. I think they're great. I'll put them in the show. If they don't get a response, I have to let them go. But
I always wonder when you have these kind of acts and somebody's sick, somebody can't get to work. I mean, it happens. I would suspect often, right?
We're 7 days a week too. 2 shows a day, 7 days a week. So I have a roster of 20-something of the best acts, and they just rotate. We're covered.
You ever a situation where somebody doesn't show up and you got to make a quick phone call?
Constantly. Always. Plus, I always encourage my acts, if they get a big TV opportunity or something, they get to go do that, and we get to sort of plug and play with that show. And then I have Vegas the Show, which is a big show about Las Vegas. I grew up here, so I'm partial to the the Folies Bergères, you know, all the big production shows that my mom was in and my sisters danced in, and so it's a big show, a big tribute to Vegas with big orchestra, and it's like 75 people, cast of 75 to run it, and it's a big show. So I love that show.
And both these shows are at the Planet Hollywood?
I own two theaters. One's V Theater and Saxe Theater at Planet Hollywood, both of them.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so, and the V show, is that for, you know, general audiences? I know you have some, you know, some adult shows as well.
Sure. No, V show's for everybody.
Right.
Vegas the show's for everybody as well. And then I have one called Zombie Burlesque, which is more for adults. It sounds terrible, I'll admit. Like, I picked the name of the show on the, you know, I'm into zombies and all that stuff because I started watching Walking Dead and all that. And I hate to admit it, but I love it. And then I said, God, what if I could have like a sexy zombie show? So I was on the plane going to my wife's hometown, and I'm on Allegiant Air, and I passed a sheet down the plane saying, I'm a producer, gonna have a new show, what should it be called? Zombie Cabaret, Zombie this, Zombie that, all these names. And the last one I put was Burlesque. I'm like, Burlesque sounds like it's overdone to me, so I just put that on there and like, let's see what they say. It was like 99 to 1. Everybody picked Zombie Burlesque, so I did that. I'm like, it sounds like a terrible show. It's one of the best shows ever. It really is great.
I mean, but the whole zombie thing seems to be very big. I mean, Walking Dead, you mentioned Walking Dead. I mean, it's a hugely, you know, popular show, and this being around Halloween, I mean, all of a sudden the attendance
we're sold out.
up.
Oh yeah, we're sold out. But we're sold out year round. I was really worried about that we were only going to sell for Halloween or something, and not at all. This thing appeals year round, so we're doing great.
So there's a lot of what, facial and body makeup in addition to the burlesque?
So the story is, you know, it takes place in the 50s, the atomic era of Vegas, and atomic bomb you know, goes off, the fallout, then they turn into zombies, and there's sort of a war, the zombies versus the humans, and then there's a peace treaty, and they all agree to live harmoniously. So it's the first all zombie nightclub, sort of like the Cotton Club was. And then white people would go see the Cotton Club. Right. So it's all zombies, and now humans can go to see all the zombies perform. And it's an interesting concept, but it's just killer. I don't know, it just works. It's funny. And
that's for the adult audience, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Since the word burlesque is in it, I assume that, right?
Sure. I don't like foul language or anything in any of my shows, but it's definitely adult content. Yeah.
Okay. And what else? Okay, so that's your third show.
Well, I have a thing called Stripper 101. It's a class, pole dancing class. That thing's huge.
So is there audience participation in that?
Well, it's not really a show. It's more of a class experience. So it's women only, and they all the bachelorette parties and all that come and take it. So from real former strippers, they can learn how, you know, all the real.
They learn how to pole dance.
Oh yeah, they learn how to pole dance, and they learn all the secrets and how to be sexy, and you know, the girls show them all the tips and tricks for how to turn your man on and all that. So it does great.
Wow.
And oh my gosh, I have so many more shows. Beatles show. It's remember you were talking about Fab Four.
Right. I saw Fab Four at one of your theaters years ago.
Yeah. Well, we changed the name. It's kind of it's morphed into, it's called Beatles Show now, and it's great guys.
Is it difficult? I mean, there's all these you know, Beatle shows around the world. And are there licensing issues and problems with that? Or how does that work?
We get a call every now and then from somebody, but
Yoko Ono, hey, David, take this off.
Apparently, somebody, whether it was Paul McCartney or her, somebody did call once. But yeah, there's issues in Vegas. There's a sort of a unique. I don't know if it's a law, but it's passed for like the Parody Act. So you're allowed to impersonate people as long as it's known as the parody, and you know, so that's what we do.
Right, and okay, so that's your Beatles show. And I certainly love those Beatles shows.
Jerry McCambridge's The Mentalist.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing.
He's been on our show.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah. Jerry's great. I have his show. I've got. Oh, if I leave anybody out, I'm dead. Nathan Burton's not my show, but he's one of my best friends.
Wasn't he performing at one time? I thought he was performing there.
Yeah, Nathan's in the Saxe Theater right now.
Oh, okay. So he's a show, and you don't own, but it's in your theater?
Correct. I have other third-party shows that I help, so I'm not really the producer, but I help them and promote them, and they're in my showroom. Recycle Percussion, it's a new show. Well, it's an It's a show that's been around. I've had it at other places. I had it at the Link Hotel. I don't know if it's Link or Quad. What's it called now?
I think it's the Link.
Link? Okay.
Yeah.
We were there as Imperial Palace, Quad, Link.
Right.
So we went through a transition there, but now it's at my Saxe Theater, and we just redid it. That's great. So.
And you have shows in the afternoon and the evenings, and you know, is it difficult to financially to work a show in the afternoon and have it be successful?
Some, yes, but if there's a market for it, you know, there's 100-something shows in Vegas, but there's only a handful that play in the afternoon, so you're competing against less people, and Vegas is changing. A lot of people just go to nightclubs now. They don't see shows like they used to, so if they're going to go, and the dinner experiences are so much better now, so they're going to dinner and nightclubs a little bit more, so maybe they'll see a show in the afternoon. So it's worked out.
Because the demographics of Las Vegas have changed since your dad was here and you were growing up here.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's what Vegas the show's about too. It's about how there used to be a maitre d' and you used to have to dress up to go out, and now people were in flip-flops and a Who Farted t-shirt and in the front row. You know, it's a lot. Yeah, it's pointing out the differences and how we should bring that back, sort of, you know, paying homage to the past, but it's got a little twist.
One of the surprising things to me, David, was how much in control these ticket brokers are now when it comes to the shows in Las Vegas. I mean, all the shows, even the major production shows, depend on these. Like there's like 3 or 4 different ticket agents in town, and everybody has to, you know, kind of kowtow to depend on them to sell seats.
Well, you know, I'm in the industry. I'm sort of the poster child for bringing them about and feeding them. But my philosophy was, you can spend millions of dollars on ads and pray that they come. You do spend millions on ads, but they do come. I can spend millions on ads and I don't know if they're going to come, or you can give big commissions and take care of these ticket brokers, and they don't get paid unless they sell a ticket. So that was my model. But yes, then more came and more came and more came, and it's.
So are most of the tickets in town, you know, with your show and other shows, being sold at these, you know, at the kiosks that you see at the malls and at the hotels?
Oh yeah. The largest percentages. I would imagine the big names and the Celines and you know, it's less and more people go right to their box office or Ticketmaster. But for the rest of us, the other 99%, it's mostly ticket brokers.
And how about the internet? How important are the internet pre-sales?
Pre-sales don't really happen anymore. I mean, they do a little bit, but a lot of people make their decisions last 3 days or so, but it's still internet driven. Everything is internet.
Right. So people are going to shows last minute and they're looking for, you know, something affordable, and these ticket brokers, you know, reduce the price somewhat, right?
Right. There's Groupon and there's tons of things, like show tickets are being sold like all these commodities, you know.
So when they're selling a show, and let's say there's a particular night where sales are down, will they lower the prices and try to, you know, sell more seats? Kind of what the airlines do.
So funny. That's the topic last night. I sent to my attorney. Dynamic pricing. Is it legal? I'll ask you. Is it legal?
Yeah.
Can you do it? I don't.
If you get hurt, I can help you. Ticket prices, I can't help you with.
Well, you know, it happens in all these other industries, but if you do it in anything in showbiz, it's just ultra highlighted, and you know, you want to. It's tough because you can get more money earlier on, and then if you want to release, like in New York, you know, they release the tickets day of, and you can get them for half price. So, but if the half price person's sitting next to a full price person, they pissed off? Yes, in shows they are, and airplanes they're not.
I think on airplanes they are. You just have no choice.
Right.
Yeah. And what about, you know, comps? I've been here myself for almost 40 years, and in the day, you know, there was a time the headliner was at Caesar's Palace. I mean, you know, if you're a local, you know, you always knew somebody that worked at the hotel, and you didn't pay.
And it happens still. You know, comping is. I actually have a whole comping program because we want the concierge and all the right people to see the shows. I think it got out of hand, and now everybody every single human being gets comps, and it's a little bit out of hand, you know. If you get comps too, you don't appreciate the show as much as when you pay. It's really weird. You see a comped audience, and
there's a difference, huh?
You would think that they'd be more grateful, but they take it for granted. But if you pay, you appreciate it more. It's weird. Right. Yeah, you know, it happens. Comps are part of the business.
And your mom, you said, was a dancer at the Follies. I certainly remember the Follies over at the Tropicana.
Yeah, she danced in a few shows, and then she had the idea, or my sister Melinda was a dancer too, and my mom and sister wanted to come up with a, Melinda was a dancer in Siegfried and Roy show, and nothing against Siegfried and Roy, but she saw every night, she's like, hey, I could do what they're doing, and I could be sexy, and I could do it with a little more, you know, flair. So
the magic thing you're talking about.
Yep. So my mom and her sort of put together this whole magic act around my sister, and then I was in high school, and they said, let's do a show. So the whole family, kind of like Little Rascals, let's put on a show. And I did lights and sound, was maitre d', and my mom put all the dancers together, and my sister doing magic, and my dad did the band, and it was just this little showroom and a little show, and it just took off and became a big thing. And then next thing you know, I'm after high school, I'm going to all the ticket brokers and telling them to sell my sister's tickets, and I'm begging them to. So I'm promoting, and then I'm doing shows at night, and getting home at 2 in the morning, and it was tough.
So you really never had any other desire to do something else other than being in the business you're in?
I did. I wanted to be an attorney, and I had 2 attorneys working for me when I was probably 20 years old, and had a male strip show at the time, and they used to come to the show every night and see 300 horny girls screaming and go, why do you want to be an attorney? This is the life. Let us talk you out of it. And I said, but I want to be an attorney. So they talked me into staying. So.
Of course, those burlesque shows. I mean, you're happily married and have some kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely, 3 kids.
That pertain to you. And your wife's an orthodontist?
Yep, orthodontist here in town, and it's great. So it's fun because her name gets out there. She has her own practice, and then people will look at me like I'm the the husband that's unemployed or something, and they'll go, "Oh, your wife takes care of you, huh? Your wife, it's all your wife." I'm like, "Yes, I love it."
Well, the difficult thing I would think is that your wife is a professional and working daytime hours, and you're working. I'm sure you work day and night.
Yeah,
because
it's
you're at the shows every night.
Yeah. Yesterday, I think I had lacrosse practice for one kid, soccer. A baseball game, 2 dance classes. I mean, we are just chauffeurs. That's all we do, and it is very hard. But we sat down and said, we chose this life. This is awesome. This is the best time in our life. We'll look back on it and regret complaining about not having any sleep, because we don't get any sleep. But no, it's great. Life is great. Everything is great.
You have times when you're doing a show and you have electricity go out, or you have major drama constantly.
Oh. Fire alarm goes off in the hotel all the time, and there's nothing we can do about it. So, and then the customers, they don't know if it's a joke or what's going on.
Right,
so
part of the show.
So every day something happens. Lights go down. A big part of what I do is put out fires and calm everybody down, and there's so many issues.
I also wanted to ask you about the cost of ticket prices of shows. I know when I went to see Elton John last week, and it was quite expensive.
Right.
I don't know how it's even affordable to the average tourist in Las Vegas.
Well, the Eltons and Celines, they are expensive. The rest of us are very expensive, but then you can always get a discount somewhere. So we had to price it up because everybody wants a discount. So just to clear enough to make to pay everybody, you gotta charge a lot. But.
So a lot of shows offer discounts for locals. You do things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do. There's so many deals out there. My head of sales, I asked her about, I said, what's our ticket price on this show, and this show, and this show? What's our retail? She's like, what's retail? Like, what do you mean? What's our ticket price? We don't even know our ticket price anymore. There's so many ticket prices for everything.
Right, yeah.
Everybody wants some type of deal, every broker. And
so what's the show that you haven't produced that you'd like to?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm really into musicals and Broadway right now. I just came back from New York, so a lot of shows. I want to do a big Broadway show.
Right. What did you like? What did you say that you liked in Broadway?
I saw one, Something Rotten. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
So good. Yeah, Something Rotten's great. And yeah, I mean, on one hand, Vegas is better than Broadway. It's so much more, I don't want to say flashy, but it's more entertaining, and I don't know, there's so much more there. Like, you go to Broadway and they're old theaters, and it's just, everything's dialed down, but somehow it's a masterpiece when you put it all together and you go, wow. So I want to mix the masterpiece of that with a little bit more of the flair of Vegas.
But some Broadway shows have done well in Las Vegas. Jersey Boys,
Sure.
Mamma Mia had a great run.
Sure. Yeah, I love Jersey Boys. It's great. I just love anything that's, I don't know, just completing something and it's a real product, going from napkin to, oh my gosh, they're talking about it. You're in a restaurant and you hear them talking about your product and you go, wow, that was on a napkin one day. I just love creating. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah. And I read somewhere you want to do a movie one day as well.
I do.
And
I do.
Well,
I'm going to do a movie musical.
Yeah, I would like to do one too. We can talk after the show.
Okay.
David Saxe, renowned producer. You can catch all these shows over at the Planet Hollywood, basically,
yep.
right?
Saxe Theater, V Theater.
Okay. Hey, thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
All right.